Hi again, it's Sheila with Creative Aging. We're gonna work some more with clay. And again, this is the Sculpey oven baked clay. It's also called polymer clay. That's the primary name for it. And so I've delivered some more clay to most of the facilities. If you do not have enough, please let me know and I can drop some more off. And we're gonna make some fish. Okay, and all of these details in the sculpting for this fish is done with just our fingers and then also a pencil. And if you'd like, you can use a paper clip. So we use the paper clips on the owls. And so I'm trying to reuse some tools that you guys will have at home that we've already done before, so you can just practice a little bit more. Now, if you have clay tools, then please get those out and then use those. So this is really good project to experiment with different types of tools. You can even get forks if you wanted to do some pattern with a fork. Just be creative. Look around the house or your room and see what you can do with different textures and different types of points. But I'm making it easy, so on this one I just used the pencil safety pin. And to start, you're gonna get, a little bigger than a golf ball size of clay. And these are made to stand, by the way. I know you can't see it very well in the video, but it's gonna stand up at the end. All right, so we're gonna get our clay, and I want you to, of course, as always, roll it in your hand and warm it up. And you can tell when it's ready. This one is definitely ready. So if it still looks like it's cracked, or if you're moving it and it's still looking dry, then just keep warming it up. But you don't want to warm it too much. Now, if you have really hot hands and you keep rolling it in them, it's gonna get sticky. So if your fingers still feel sticky on the clay, then you need to let it breathe for a minute, because this is gonna be a lot harder if it gets too sticky. So with clay, there's always a good middle. You don't want it dry, but you don't want it sticky either. And so I just want you to really pay attention and get used to the perfect temperature for this type of clay. So mine's ready, and I'm just gonna kind of roll it in my hands, and I'm gonna flatten it with my fingers. And then one end, I'm gonna pinch that right here. Okay, because this is gonna be the back of the tail. And I'm gonna move my finger and, I'm just kind of moving it. So I'm moving it with my fingers and just pushing my thumb. Be careful of your nails. I'm just pushing my thumb and moving this clay around till I start making some shapes. And I can use my finger to push in the side. That's gonna be the fin. So I've got my point, and then I want it to be like a wavy. So see, I pushed it, and I want this to drop down quite a bit, so I'm gonna take my finger and I'm gonna push it really hard right there. Okay, this is gonna be the big dip, all right? And there's not really a right or wrong way to do this. So we're just getting the shape right now. Whatever feels natural, go ahead and do. But you're just using your fingers and just, see, I'm pinching. I'm just flattening it, but I'm also creating shape as I go. So see how I flattened this and I moved it up. So I pinched and I kind of moved it up. And don't worry about your fingerprints right now. We're just getting the shape of the fish. And so I want that to even go down further. So I'm gonna move my finger again. And then it's gonna be a little mouth here in the front. So I want it to kind of flatten. So see right here, I'm gonna pinch All right, I hope you can see what I'm doing. Just using both my thumbs. So that's where the lips are gonna be. And we want it to sit flat, so you don't have to do that much down here. Now you're gonna tap it because you want it to stand. So before you do all the pencil detail, you might as well tap it and get it to flatten on the bottom, okay? So it's already standing. So that worked well. I don't need to tap it anymore. Now we have a good shape. We're gonna work on it more in a little bit, but I want you to just go ahead and start using your finger and smoothing some of these out. And then we're gonna use our pencil to do more kind of grooves on the edges, and then we're gonna draw into it for detail. And if there's certain parts that you want it to be bigger, like right here, I can just pinch more and make it go up more. Same with here, I want to round that jaw out a little bit right there. Okay. Now, I know that there's a lot of like lumps. I know you can see it. Don't worry about that too much. We're gonna cover a lot of this up with design, and that way it's not gonna be too tedious. So let's go ahead and take the pencil, and we're gonna create some kind of shape in the front. So let's just take this part of our pencil. We're just gonna push it in to the front. And you see how it automatically gives it some interesting shape. And let's round this out. So we need to separate the face from the body, and that's gonna help with drawing. So I'm gonna use this as my guide. So there's already a curve, a natural curve. I'm gonna draw and curve up. Now, see how much came off on my pencil right there? I want you to take that off. We're gonna do that again because there's some chunks that we need to fix. So you're gonna use your pencil and keep drawing into it, trying to smooth some of these clay pieces out. And now I'm gonna use my finger, and I'm gonna go over it, and I wanna go over it and make it not so drastic. Like right now, it looks like it's been cut into. I don't want that. So I'm gonna use my finger and just push where the clay lifted. And this is probably gonna be something you need to practice, and it's not gonna be just the first try it's gonna look great. It's a lot of back and forth. So you're gonna use your pencil, then you'll use your finger, then you'll probably use the pencil again. So see, there's more chunks in there. So it's kind of like painting. You're doing a lot of repetitive stuff, but that's how it's gonna look more natural and smooth. I want this jaw to pop out. So see how I'm exaggerating the curve right there. And let's go ahead and get that eye. I can use my eraser for the eye. Put that eye right there. And I'm gonna push down. I'm pushing pretty hard. Let's do the pencil in the middle of the eye. We can even draw a circle around the eye, and you don't have to draw it as hard. So I want you to play with the pressure of your pencil. And we're gonna fix this. This looks, I know you're probably thinking this looks weird. It does. So we're not finished. We're gonna work on this for a while. Okay, let's do this design. So right here, we're gonna switch to a safety pin. Actually, it's not a safety pin. I'm sorry, it's a paper clip. I do that all the time. And you know, if you want, you can even go in with this paper clip. And see, it smooths it pretty well. So I like to use both. I just think this kind of gets the extra clay and pushes it and gives it a cleaner line. And then you can either use the smaller end or the bigger end, up to you. I'm gonna use both. And I'm just going to see how I'm just curving it. Okay, just push down, kind of curve it. Now make sure, see how there's clay stuck right there? It's going to get sticky and it makes it not as smooth. So get rid of that. I could tell that was trying to stick into my clay. So let's go over it again. You can play with the pressure if you want to just go light, if you want a deeper design, up to you. I'm going to do more. I'm going to switch to the smaller end too, and I'm going to do a little bit more. And then down over here, you can switch to your pencil. Let's draw some curvy lines out. And of course, as always, you know, switch up the design and do whatever you want, whatever you think would look cool. If you want to look at a picture online, or if you just want to, this is a good project to just kind of do, just play. I mean, you really don't need to look at a picture for this, so just kind of do whatever cool doodling or design that you think would be interesting. And I'll do some dots. So to see, I need to clean the pencil off. So let's just do some dots in there. I'm gonna start with every other, so there's not too many. I think I want another line up there. Have it go off. So I'm gonna have one that goes down. There we go. I can even do some dots in here if I wanted. Maybe I'm gonna lighten my pressure, so some of them are very subtle. Okay. And then this part, I think we're gonna work right here. So let's make this a little more subtle so it doesn't look like a seahorse. Kind of looks like a seahorse to me. Poor fish. So I'm gonna squish this and make it not so jaggedy. I think that's better. And then we'll do some design up here, and I'll just do some and go ahead and switch. Try the paper clip and the pencil and see what you like better. So the paper clip, you push it in and you kind of roll it. Yeah, with clay tools, it's really all about preference. I mean, you might really feel more comfortable with one. So it's good to just try to figure out what you think looks best and always have a few other options. And so that's how it's looking right now. I think those eyes, I'm gonna rub my finger over those lines. And I just feel like it's too, like all the pressure is looking the same to me right now, and I don't like that. It just doesn't look good. So I think, play with the pressure, and if you start seeing that it looks exactly the same, like it's all the same deepness, then you can use your finger and kind of make some of the marks more subtle. The variation is always what's going to make art more interesting. Same with, contrast in paintings, and that's, you just want the variation of different types of marks, and it's going to look more intricate. And so I'm using my finger, and I'm just smoothing out certain parts to make them a little less harsh, and some of them kind of closed up. So around the eyes especially, I'm going to use I think that's going to look better, especially on the edges. So see how I'm doing a little more on the edge? It doesn't look like I just cut into this poor little fish. And then, of course, some parts you might want to go over again. So you can always make it a little more subtle and then go over it again if you want in certain spots. And so right there, see how deep that got, and there's a lip on it. I'm just going to push on that a little bit. And I actually think I want a little point down here, so I'm going to do that. I think that's going to be cute. There we go. And let's make this point bigger. Okay, so here's how it's looking. The little points helped. And I added a few very light lines, if you can see, around the face. So if you just take your pencil and barely push and just draw a couple little light lines, it's just gonna make the other deeper lines look a little more subtle, and it's just a graduation. So I want you to play with that. So same with here, if I want to do a few lighter dots, I can do that. Just barely push. So we just want to play with the texture, keep adding more detail until you really like what's happening. You can't really mess these up. I mean, if you aren't liking whatever you're doing, you can smooth it out and start over again. So don't get frustrated. Just, these should take a while though. Every project we do, we try to make it to where it's gonna take about an hour and a half. So if you're done with these in 45 minutes, I bet you need to work harder on it. So it should not take 45 minutes. These should take at least an hour to an hour and a half. I really want everyone to just be patient and stop every so often and look at what you're doing and figure out what to add. If you want to work on the edges, you can. So say the top of it, because you will see the top of it if it's a little sculpture sitting out. You could just draw some light lines. Give it a little texture. Of course, you don't have to. And then for the lip, I'm going to just take my pencil point and I'm just going to draw right where my lip would be, and I'm just going to draw a line, and this is just going to create like a look of like kind of puckered up lips. So see? And see how that automatically pushed the clay up and down to where it just looks like a little kiss face. If you try to do this with your finger, I will say that it's kind of hard. I actually tried to do it with my first one, and I had a hard time with it. It looked really weird. So I found that this is the easiest way. So I've done a lot of trial and error on these little fish, so I can make it a little easier to teach so that you guys don't have to go through all of the little hard parts that I went through. So I've been working on this fish for a while. All right, so I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm gonna do another light line, and I just really like this curve, and I just wanna add another line. So, see how light that is? Now at this point, I really think the shape looks good. If there's any edges to smooth out, this is when you'll do it. And remember, if it's getting sticky, then you need to set it down and cool it off. Don't keep trying. If it's sticking to your fingers, which actually, see, there is one spot that's sticky on mine because I've been holding it so long. If it's doing this, then you need to set it aside, just give it 5 minutes and let it cool. As you work with this kind of clay, it just warms up and your fingerprints will kind of stick into it, and it gets really hard if it's sticky. I mean, it's hard to work with. I don't even want you to have to deal with that. So just let it breathe. Okay, and so at this point, I like my little fish. I think I'm gonna leave it. I like all the detail. I'm gonna make sure that there's no little chunks of clay that I need to smooth out. And you know, sometimes you can just lightly drag your finger over the whole thing. If there is a little extra chunk of clay, it'll just brush it off or rub it in. But you do need to be careful. If you use heavy pressure, you're gonna erase some of the marks you did. So just very, very lightly go over it. Don't use fingernails. Make sure it's the ball of your finger. And whenever you're in love with it, and make sure it's still standing, which it is. So the flattening at the beginning really helped out. So while it's standing, look at it again, decide if you're in love with it. If you really like what you see, then you're ready to bake. And as always, you know, just be careful putting it in the oven. If you're using your ovens at home, maybe line foil on your cookie sheet, set it right on top. If you want to lay it down, you can, it doesn't matter. You don't want it to fall. If it falls over while it's cooking, it might break, because these break when they're warm. So maybe lay it flat, just to be safe. Lay it flat on your cookie sheet, bake it at 275. And because these are a little thicker than some of our other projects, bake it for a full 12 minutes. Take it out of the oven and let it cool before you touch it. And then once it's cool, you are all done, and you can set it out, give it to someone, whatever you want to do with these things. So here, I'll show this one again to compare the two. They're just a little different. I'll have pictures of these, of course, and detailed lesson plan. Detailed directions on the lesson plan, and that should be right underneath this video. And next time, I think we're gonna do some jewelry. So we're gonna use polymer clay to do jewelry, and I'm going to deliver some pigments. And so we're not gonna always do white projects. I'm actually getting you guys ready to use your own pigments. So that'll be the next delivery. And activities directors, if you need anything, please always text me, let me know, and send me pictures. I love pictures to see what everyone's doing. It's sad and lonely working at home by myself and doing online classes, so I'd love to see pictures. It would make me happy. Anyways, thank you.